Okay, good evening, everybody. So please, I'm asking you in a nice way, keep the chat civil. It's we're all here to try and resolve a difficult thing which is taxing all of us to death. Today I was looking over some of the, when I was preparing, I was going through some of the videos that were posted by MTI when they started this whole process. And I came across a video which was posted by Johan Steinbach in January of 2020. And it just made me think again that we've all had problems with this MTI saga. But the main thing is to stand together. I think that at this stage of the game, it's really important for all of us to work together as a team. And I mean, that's what this is about. We're doing the best we can as far as that is concerned. Okay, so I'm just going to, I think if we can ask Advocate van Staden just to give us a real brief on what happened in the court case, and then we've got a number of questions we want to deal with later as well, and also what the status is. But in brief, there was a court case on Friday the 29th of April. On Friday the 29th of April, there was a court case. And then at that court case, the case was not finalized. There was a late application, and maybe just a brief on what happened with the late application from Henry Honeyball and his team, which was denied. And then where we are, because the court case will continue again on the 16th. On the 16th, that's Monday, this coming Monday after the weekend, the court case will continue, and then the rest of the items will be discussed. There is a possibility it will also run over to another day, to an extra day at that stage. But we are at a position where there is an offer to us at this stage, which we've got to consider, and which we sort of want to just have a discussion about as well, and ask you guys to comment on that and let us know how you feel about things. And then obviously from a legal perspective, we will have to publish how we deal with that. So just without any further ado, I think I can give over to Advocate van Staden just to give us a quick brief. Advocate.
Good evening, everyone. So yes, on the 29th of April, we were in court, and we were met by an application that was filed by Henry Honeyball to have the case postponed pending an application to remove the liquidators. Now, the application to remove the liquidators were brought by Mr. Honeyball as well as the Marxists. And it was planned for hearing on the 16th of May, and that's why they wanted to have the court case postponed. However, the Judge De Wet, made a ruling that they're not going to accept it after hearing all the various counsels that were present. Our view was that we will abide by whatever the decision of the court is. And so she dismissed the application with cost. And she indicated that we have to continue with the main cause, which is the application to have MTI declared a Ponzi scheme or an illegal business scheme. So firstly, they heard Advocate Desai, who is representing Mr. Cecil Rowe, and his attorney is Elna de Jager. So they made some concession agreements with the liquidators in an attempt to protect at least their clients. So after that was finalized, because it just took a very short period, then the party started with the heads of argument, and Advocate van Rooyen, on behalf of the liquidators, commenced with his heads of argument. So he carried on with his heads of argument till just after 3, and then the judge postponed the case till the 16th of May. Meaning now the liquidators have told the court why they want MTI to be declared a Ponzi scheme or an irregular business scheme. So since they've finished the heads of argument, on the 16th, the other parties will all give our heads of argument, and I'm in agreement with Chris that the possibility do exist that it will continue at a later date. I must say it was very brief, the heads of argument that was tendered on behalf of the liquidators. But I do foresee that especially the heads of argument that will be presented by Advocate Henry Loots on behalf of Henry Honeyball, and then as well as the heads of argument that will be presented on behalf of the Marxists, will be very extensive and will also take considerable time to give it through at court. So that is basically in a nutshell. So as correctly said, on the 16th of May, it will continue the case. As I also indicated, it was also supposed to start on the 16th of May. The application to remove the liquidators should have been heard, but by agreement, the application to remove the liquidators will be heard at a later stage. But whatever will happen, I can assure that myself and Ian Allis, our attorney, is making sure that we work in the best interest of all net losers, to make sure that there's no comebacks and to make sure that your rights are not trampled on. Thank you, Chris.
Oh, okay, so can I thank you, Advocate van Staden. I think the important thing, and this is what we, I'm just going to brief what I was told, and maybe Ian can follow through with that, where we are in this interim stage, is that from what I understood in our discussion, after the court case, was that there has been some preliminary discussion with the liquidators, and we can, in an agreement, follow through with the agreement that we were discussing at the previous court case, follow through with that and get a covering agreement so that the net loser investors will not have to pay in and won't be disadvantaged by a repeat by the application for an illegal business practice. So from that point of view, if that carries through, then it would be in our interests not to create unnecessary friction and problems, and it will also speed the whole process up and cover the reclamation. So today we were informed of an application by the liquidators as well. There is an application by the liquidators which has come from the liquidators to recover funds from the major players, which has gone out in a subpoena. And I'm not fully aware of the extent of that because the court papers have not been made available to us just yet, but it has been declared by them that that is also happening, and that is in the interest of the net losers. So maybe I'll just leave that with Ian, and then we can just leave it on the table where we are at the moment. We will probably put out a document later just to get some opinions from everybody and to take a poll from all our members. We will take a poll from all the people who are signed up as members and lay out what the alternatives are for us. Ian, would you like to just take it from there and correct anything that I might have made a mistake with?
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, just to clarify, let me, in a nutshell, the only discussions that one can actually take a look at and what can occur is and what has occurred is in terms of what took place. Number one, with Cecil Rowe's team and an extension of that to all of the net losers. basically, it's a bit more of an intricate argument with regards to what could be the effects if the business model is declared an unlawful business scheme. So it's in short, basically what is being said is that what applies to one group applies to all, if one could call it that. So it's not per se a deal or not a deal. It's basically an overall covering blanket in respect of all investors, in particular the net losers, to save them from if one could say, avoid any other litigation against them. So it's a separation of who are net winners, who are net losers, what could apply if it is declared an unlawful scheme, what could apply if it's not. Ultimately, at the end of the day, with the declaration of an unlawful scheme, and this is what our view is in actual fact being, is that the people did not invest with the aim of going ahead and investing in an unlawful Ponzi scheme. It was always made with certain payments and growth and profits, and there was a reason for it. It was out of innocence and an attempt to grow money. It wasn't made as a direct type of an investment in an unlawful scheme. So that's the important thing, and that's what's been primarily our objection to it. Obviously, coming from a shareholder's perspective, it's a different argument that's being made, and as well as possibly from a net winner perspective, there's a different argument to in actual fact be made. With regards to this, and this is where it applies strictly with regards with the net losers, is whether or not we are what is going to apply to the net losers, and most importantly, that the net losers are not subject to any further litigation stemming from any decision that the court may derive. So if the court says, you know what, this is an unlawful scheme, the net losers are safe. And if they say it is an unlawful scheme, the net losers are also safe. Then it only applies to certain groups. So that is what the extent, if one could in actual fact say there's no, and I think that's where one must just be careful about saying what is on the table, if one could say. There's no additional benefits for one group as opposed to to others. It's all a stock standard type of a proposal of what actually relates to net losers not being prosecuted going forward if the matter is declared an unlawful scheme. If it's not, well, then you know what, they weren't in a better or worse position. The biggest issue now that's in actual fact coming in with regards with those subpoenas is in terms of the article of the liquidators looking to proceed against certain parties who were either directors, management, and directly involved in MTI at one stage in another prior to its liquidation. So yes, the liquidators are now pursuing them to the extent of about 4.1 billion rand. This, in uncertain terms, and this also to a degree becomes more pertinent from the other parties' opposition to the matter. But it won't be stopped if they also if it is declared unlawful or not declared unlawful, because any type of claims of losses can be pursued against certain directors and members of a company, depending upon their actions in the company. That's in terms of 417 and 418 of the Insolvency Act. So, from our perspective, we have got to ensure that at this present moment there is no risk or any danger to net losers, which is ultimately what is taking place, and for our assurances to make sure that there's no risk to that group of parties, which is for going forward, irrespective of what the decision is.
Thank you, Ian.
To clarify.
All right. Thank you, Ian. So just to recap where we are at the moment, obviously we are at this stage in a between situation. All the facts aren't on the table just yet. And I think that once all of those facts are on the table, we'll have a clearer situation as to for our advocates and also for Ian Allis and them to make decisions. And then I think what we should do at this stage of the game, are there any specific questions around this that I should be dealing with, Nerissa? Maybe you and Yolanda can highlight any questions we might need to deal with, which under the present circumstances.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah.
If I can chip in while you're getting that ready.
Yeah, go for it.
A question, as far as I know, and Advocate van Staden or Solicitor Ian Allis can confirm this. I'm getting a lot of questions about a rumor, a reporter, Jana Breitenbach, that did the article in Network 24, where she mentioned that a group of creditors has been paid already. As far as I know, no member received any cent as yet.
Sorry, I'm just going to leave that to the solicitors to answer, but they can't pay individual creditors. That it can't work like that. They have to. I think maybe just so that everybody understands what that process is. What has happened is that they are starting to register the claims with they are now taking our claims, everybody's claims, and registering them with the master of the court. And we are going through that process at the moment. But that means all it is that you have a claim, this is what your claim has been valued at, and that's what your claim is. It's been registered. Until such time as that whole equity pot has been resolved, nobody will get paid. So as long as somewhere along the time they have somewhere along the line, before they can pay out, they have to stop all further claim registrations. Once they've stopped all further claim registrations, they know what the total claim against the assets are. And at that stage, they can either make interim payments or they can start making other payments, but they can't pay out this guy a little bit and that guy a little bit. None of that can happen. Sorry, Ian, you wanted to add to that?
Yes. Just to clarify, there have been no dividends or any payments affected to any creditors. All that has actually happened preliminary has been that a certain sample of claims that have been submitted have now been accepted by the master, and that there'll be further further groups of claimants that are being submitted once again that are being accepted. So it can be confirmed there has been no payments, and there won't be any payments until all interim dividends declared, until at very least there is a liquidation and distribution account that has been provided, and that they've got a certain number of claims to basically close off, or if one could say that the time periods have lapsed for them to close off for the claims to be accepted.
Yes. Also, if I can just add to that, I see also there's a lot of questions being asked if people must submit their claims. Yes, it's very important that even though it hasn't been declared an illegal business scheme or a Ponzi scheme, there is money in the pot. So it's very important that everyone who do have a claim do complete their claim forms and have it submitted. And so that you are registered with the liquidators that they know about you. And then once the first dividend are declared, that you will be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very, very important for everybody to understand. Let us just understand where we are at the moment. Your claim needs to be prepared to be submitted to the liquidators. That process is ongoing now. The people who have multiple accounts under them, there's a process for us to get access through the back office and to get all that information set up. So, and what we are doing is we are putting together the whole process and talking to everybody on an individual basis where and when necessary, and helping them get their things ready and prepared in a way that they don't create all sorts of problems for themselves. And then the liquidators look at this documentation. We work with the liquidators backwards and forwards. Get your documentation ready, get it accepted, and then get your claim into that pot. And that whole process has to take place. We've got a lot of people saying, well, you know, why should I work with GetaQuid? Well, the reason is GetaQuid is working with a large group of people to keep the costs as low as possible for everybody. That's the reason we need your support, and we are doing everything we can to support you as net equity losers. I think that's really the thing. Narisa, can you run through the top questions? We had one question today which you were worried about we needed to answer. Sorry, I'll just stop there for a minute. Is there anybody who's got any other questions about that at the moment? All the support you need is on the website. Honestly, if it's not on the website, you can contact us by Signal. There's a page that tells you how to contact us through Signal, and you can contact us through WhatsApp using the mobile phone number that is on the website as well. And apart from that, you can contact us at the COGS email addresses. You can use the ticketing system at the back end, and you can write to admin@getaquid.com or to support@getaquid.com. All those emails are now being answered. We're not backlog answering, we're only answering current inquiries at the moment. And normally, worst case scenario, it takes around 22 working days for you to get an answer, but most of the time, we are clearing all the inquiries in a day's time. Okay. Yes, if people are saying, yeah, can we rectify? Yes, you can. We just need an opportunity to find out where you've made mistakes. I mean, a lot of people, when they originally thought about the claims, put in their claims on the principle of their dividends and their commissions and everything else, and then said, okay, I've got one person who wrote to me the other day and said, I had 10 Bitcoin when the whole thing shut down. And then when we did the inquiry and worked through his claim with him, we found out that he didn't actually have 10 Bitcoin. He only invested 2 Bitcoin in the beginning, and the rest came from other places. But he was still a net equity loser because he didn't withdraw any of that Bitcoin. So because that Bitcoin was still in the pot, he lost 2 Bitcoin. So he hadn't been a net equity winner. So it's those sort of things where we talk to the people and we can clarify that situation and then present that in a proper fashion for them to have a claim with the liquidators. And that's what makes this a really good system, is because we are helping the people to present their cases in a proper fashion to the liquidators, so that it doesn't just get pushed aside and then create a massive inquiry because you put the wrong information on the documentation. Okay.
Okay, Chris, I sent you the mail. One of the questions today, if we have our claims approved, must the claim be paid out in Rand value for that time, or can we get the Bitcoin value returned to my Luno account?
Okay, I think plain and simply, just to answer that, the first stage is to evaluate what your actual claim is by looking at Bitcoin in, Bitcoin out, to get that figure, that set out so that it is clear what happened during the time of your account. Because some accounts are really complicated because they ended up transferring Bitcoin to friends and other people were using their Bitcoin, but they never took anything out themselves. So we have to clarify that. That's the one thing. Then once we've got a clear indication of what actually happened, the next stage of that is to submit that claim. Once that all those claims have been put together, the liquidators are working in fiat currency. So what they will end up doing, which is what we believe they will look at, they at the moment have 1 billion in fiat currency already available. And I have seen claims go out from the liquidators of somewhere around, Adv Van Staden, was it 4 billion South African Rand or something? Am I correct? Can you remember the figure, Advocate Van Staden? Are you there, Hendrik?
Chris, I cannot remember the exact amount. I'm still just waiting for a confirmation from them because as there's more claims coming in, the amount is continuously changing.
Okay. All right. So the pot is effectively growing at the moment, and the pot is going to also alter as they get hold of more Bitcoin. And obviously they are converting that into fiat currency and then putting that into reserve to make the necessary payments. So in the end, it will be a situation, okay, we have to pay out 10,000 Bitcoin. But at that stage, 10,000 Bitcoin might be worth 5 billion, but they've only got 4 billion. So they will prorata it and then make the payment. And we don't know what that will be. Then the next stage will be, how are you going to take that? And that part, we are going to be pushing for people to be paid in Bitcoin. So we might create a purchase Bitcoin value thing, and then we'll have to work out how that's going to work. So at this stage of the game, the most important thing to focus on is to get your claim in a format that is acceptable to the liquidators so that they can know what the total Bitcoin claim value is against the equity that they have recovered in this whole situation. And how that will be paid out, we can negotiate with them at a later stage. We are seriously trying to get that paid out in Bitcoin. But remember, it'll be a conversion process again, because it'll have to be converted from fiat currency, because they will do their accounts in fiat currency.
I got quite a lot of questions around the back office. People would like to get into the back office. Do we have access to the back office? And that's for people are requesting their MTI numbers that they've lost, balance requests, etc.
Okay, the situation with the back office is we need certain information to be able to, we need information to be able to look into the back office with the liquidators for the individuals, and then to have a look at what the actual process is. The best way to deal with that is to actually submit your application through our membership scheme, and then we can get that access sorted out for you. So we need that application set up so that we can do that for the individuals. That is, yes, that is the way it has to be done. Okay?
Yes, Chris, can I just also comment on that, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I've also seen that there are people asking that, for instance, they don't know what their MTI numbers are. So please, people, when you register at some stage in the registration process with us, it's going to ask your MTI ID number. If you don't have that number, please use your national ID number or your social security number or your passport number. Just use a unique identifying number that's coupled to you if you don't have your MTI ID number. So, and then supply the rest of your information, because if we get that information, then we can try to assist you to get your MTI number and the particulars. So don't write something funny there. Just use a unique identifying number. And whilst I'm talking, I somehow want to address quickly something from Rashida Motala. I don't know if anybody has answered her, and maybe you guys can comment on that if you know what MTI Justice Group. Does anybody know about them? Because apparently they are bad-mouthing GetaQuid and RAG. She said in her comments that they received communication today that they must be careful and stay away from GetaQuid. So I don't know if anybody know the MTI Justice Group and where Rashida received this information.
Okay, the MTI Justice Group, if I can answer that, they belong to Mr. Cecil Rowe and attorney De Jager, Elna De Jager. So that is where they belong to, and I don't know why they send that message that the people must stay away from GetaQuid or from the recovery action group. But I know they are representing net winners as well as net losers, which is the difference between, that is defining the two groups. While GetaQuid is basically representing net equity losers.
Yeah. Can I also just make it really clear to everybody? We don't run, when we started originally, we were RAG, and it was Recovery Action Group, but we have not, that system has not carried on. And if people are getting those mixed up with GetaQuid at the moment, it means that they don't know what they're talking about. So RAG is not, we are not RAG, and we don't identify ourselves as RAG. When I originally started GetaQuid some 2 years ago now, we used the RAG as an acronym, but I left that group, signed off on everything, and just let the liquidators get on with the work until this whole thing blew up, and we found out that no claims were being approved and all the rest of those things were happening. That's when I put together this group as GetaQuid. But they now go under RAC. I don't know what the C stands for. I can't think of what it is. And they call themselves RAC, and that's Henry Honeyball's group. Now, you can't represent, because the interests of a net loser and the interests of a net winner are completely different. You cannot represent both those groups. You can't stand up and say, oh, I represent net winners and I represent net losers. You cannot represent both of those. That's a conflict of interest. Because the net, right now, the liquidators are going out with subpoenas and going after all the net winners and the major net gainers who fraudulently defrauded people out of their funds. And we've got a list of those names where those court documents have been filed on to go. You can't stand there and say, well, I'm representing a net loser, and then saying, well, actually, no, I'm representing a net winner. Completely different interests, completely different interests. We only represent net losers. If net winners want help from us, we will help them, but we will not represent them in the interests of the court. Am I correct, Advocate van Staden?
Chris, you're 100% correct, because we don't want, as you correctly said, a clash of interest, or that we sit in a situation where we are representing people into opposite camps, being someone who's a net winner or net loser, but we are encouraging net winners to come to the party as well and make sure that the net losers are the one that gain from our activities and the ones that rights are protected at all times.
Okay.
If I can just mention in short, RAC, or for Recovery Action Community.
Yeah.
And they, as far as I know, they are representing net winners. The Justice Group, like you said, Cecil Rowe, they are representing net winners and losers. And GetaQuid are representing net losers.
Okay. All right, guys. Look, we're just not at this stage of the game. I really just want to tell everybody, I got involved in all that social media stuff right at the beginning. And this time around, I just thought, I don't have time for that. I just think because there's so much misinformation out there most of the time. And you just end up being tried by social media, and you never win with those things, because even if you tell people the truth, they can't recognize it. So the thing is, this is who we are. We publish things that we've got court papers for. I got documentation today which verified that was verified where of the claims that are being put out against all these people who've illegally taken the money and I was in contact with Advocate Herman Bester as well about that today, and we know that's real stuff that's happening right now. And it's important that that happens, and I really appreciate that that is happening now. But it's because of the work that we as a team have done, and I want to thank everybody who are our members. You guys are doing a fantastic job by helping us to get the information together so that we can get your claim sorted out. That's really working in a big way at this stage of the game. That's amazing, the way people have helped us to get this all done. And the one thing that nobody actually talks about is all the support we've had. We really are getting support now, and we can also start thinking about how to support Advocate Hendrik van Staden and Solicitor Ian Allis for the work that they are doing for us. And they've been doing that on a no payment basis for such a long time. It really is time for us to step up to the plate and try and get this sorted out. But we must remember that it will be the way we are working at the moment. At least there's a voice. Just the thing is this is the big problem that people don't realize. If we as the net losers don't speak up, if we don't get together, and unfortunately we are the poor guys on the street, because the net winners have already taken millions out of the pot, and they've got lots of money to fight their position in the courts. And the liquidators they've just got a plain job to do, and then to make as much money out of that job as they possibly can. Now, if there's nobody, if the net losers don't have representation holding these people to account in the interest of the net losers, and we don't stand up as a group together, who is going to make sure that the net losers are not disadvantaged in this whole process? And guys, you know human nature, right? How is it going to work? Do you really believe that if the net losers don't have representation of any kind, that the net winners and the liquidators are really going to be looking after you? If you look at what happened, you know, it befuddles me. What happened when this whole thing, we put our trust in the liquidators, and a year later we had meeting with the master of the court, and he hadn't approved a single claim. And it's when we started forming this group and started standing up and having a voice that we actually got some action. Now we're getting action. Claims are starting to be approved. The liquidators realize we're not there to blambast them, but at the same time we want fairness for the net losers. And you know, that's where we are at the moment. That is the situation. Okay, guys, are there any questions you want us to deal with at the moment, Larissa? Anything else that bothers you that you think needs to come to the top of the pile?
I think you've answered it, but a lot of people asked, please can you advise me on the closing date for claims? All I can find is 90 days, but no actual date as to when it starts and finishes.
Oh, look, I've explained this in a previous webinar as well. At the moment, the liquidators are sort of keeping this open. They haven't actually given us a final date for the submission of claims. But the problem is this, that we are looking at, and I did a reevaluation with the liquidators about 2 weeks ago, and we went through it, how many people were on our records and how many people were on their records, and what the back office looked like, and what the real claims are, and which people have got value claims, and all the rest of that. So we had a statistical comparison, and it actually looks like there are between 10, and we don't know whether the full 15 to 18,000 people will actually all register at the end of the day. But there are between 10 and 15,000 people out there that have claims, have valid claims. But the problem is within those, there are net winners as well. So we have to look at where that's all going to end up. But the thing is that if you don't submit your claim, if you don't put your claim in, then in the end, if you imagine, one of the reasons the master hasn't been able to, he only managed to get through about 1,000 claims the last time, that the claims were submitted to him. And we know that there are people out there that are holding, well, a couple of thousand claims as well for other people. So there are multitude of claims that have to be submitted. Now, if everybody waits right up until the last minute and then tries to submit their claims, they're just going to fall off the bus in the end, because nobody will be able to administer it. So the best thing is get your claim in, get it settled, get the amount settled, get it finished, and it's done. And you're not going to try and get in on this rush at the end, because there are a lot of people who think, oh, well, I'll just wait around and see what happens. You wait around, you fall off the bus in the end, because there's a lot of money that has been recovered already that can be paid out as an interim dividend, because that's what the liquidators want to do. So somewhere along the line, they'll just turn around and say, okay, we're closing this off now. You've got 30 days to get your claims in. I'll tell you what will happen. 1,000 out of 8,000 people will get their claims in that period of time. That's what will happen. The other 7,000 will have no claim. Because when that door closes, it's closed. End of it. It doesn't matter what your situation is. You won't even be able to open it up with a court case, because that's how liquidation works. Okay, I'm going to ask everybody, are there any other questions? Yolanda, maybe you've got some questions you'd like us to deal with. Yolanda?
Yes, you've basically answered. Rashida asked what she can realistically expect to get out. Advocate van Staden answered her, so that has been answered since I last looked, and it basically says it will depend on the amount they recover, what they will be paying out. And the other question that I have had repeatedly was why shouldn't I just wait? But
Okay.
obviously you've answered that as well.
Yeah, I think there's two things here. You need to simply look at your claim, decide to get your claim submitted, and be in the pot, because there are going to be a number of people who aren't going to be in the pot. So where there might have been, just as an example, let's say there were 18,000 people on this in the MTI transaction thing, and let's assume that 5,000 to 7,000 of those people don't submit their claims. Then you've got, let's say, 10,000 people left going against a pot, which is a lot less people who have now submitted their claims, but they are going to have valid claims. But all those other people who doesn't matter what they had as a claim, wouldn't be submitted because they haven't submitted and cleared the documentation. They don't have a claim. And therefore the pot is much bigger for the people who have submitted your claims. So when you might even get more than what you put in because of all these other guys who didn't put in their claims. It's a possibility.
Chris, I had a couple of questions about parent and child accounts today. Samu here asked, can I represent my daughter and husband on the COC system to manage their claims? If you can maybe just explain what is a parent, what is a child account, and how it works.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that the legal side of parent and child accounts, parent and child accounts, it really puts a legal difficulty on those accounts unless the child is not of voting age or is, say, below 16 or 17 years of age. Then the child accounts can be dealt with as a parent and child account. Once you start getting people who are grown-ups and have got the capacity to actually do their own claims, there are all sorts of things that happen, because what happens is if you're now, let's say you're a grown child and you're 25 years of age, if your dad put the money, and let's say he's now running the parent account, just to keep it really simple, you have to, in the end, you will have to assign that money to the dad of the account, because he's going to receive all the claims from all the children accounts in his thing. So let's say somebody says, oh, we are not going to pay you the money because we are going to be clever and we're all going to come under one parent and child, and now I have 20 children. Well, dear 20 children, that parent is going to take all your money into his account, because you will have to sign assignments that he can run your account and claim your money. And then you will, as long as he hasn't got any problems, in the end, you're hopefully going to get paid by him. So that's a consideration you have to really be careful of. If you've got a reasonable claim or a claim, my honest opinion is the parent and child account is for real parent and child situations. Once you start going into parent and child accounts where you've got all the people below you and you're trying to get them in, then rather go for a sponsored account for those people than go for parent and child accounts. Because you are going to have arguments about how much money did you get back for me? Where's my money? When are you going to get? And we don't communicate with you as a member if you're a child. You're a child, we communicate with a parent. And I think if I had money in there, I wouldn't be doing it under my sponsor. I would be doing it for my own account, because I want to know that I'm being considered as a grown up, and I'm going to get my money into my account, which I nominate, and not somebody else's account who I have no control over. So if you want to, I've got a situation. I had a situation where we had this discussion during this week with one of the GetaQuid members. We spoke to a member, and I explained the whole thing to him. And the net result was he's going to set up a sponsor account for the person he wants to help get his account through. And we are reducing fees for the sponsored accounts, and then you can help that person get that claim of his submitted, and that works much better than the parent and child account. With a parent and child account, we talk to the parent, end of story, and you have to be very comfortable that you can do that. Okay, anything else?
Maybe just quickly, the difference on the support system between COGS and GetaQuid. What related questions would you send to COGS, and what would you send to GetaQuid?
Okay. Yeah, that's good. GetaQuid is basically setting up the membership, what accounts do you need, and those things. But the actual record keeping system is the COGS system. So the COGS system is where you deal with the record keeping. Louis, you look like you have something to say there, my friend.
Not really. I think you explained it well. So after you have registered and made your payment on the GetaQuid website, your information pushes through to the COGS system, and then from there you will receive further communication from the COGS system, which will allow you to upload your documentation directly onto the COGS system. So if you have any problems with registering or payments, that is directed towards GetaQuid. But if there's any problems with you having to upload documentation onto the COGS system, or you can't connect to the COGS system, or anything like that, queries must come to the COGS system. So that's basically the difference. If you have any technical questions like how many Bitcoin will you get back, and when will the claims be submitted, and what forms need to be used, and there's problem with your payments, those are all GetaQuid issues. The only queries that comes to COGS is when you struggle to sign in from the page that we have sent, or you can't claim your profile on the mobile app, or you're struggling to upload documentation, because that is COGS issues. All other legal issues and how much Bitcoin you are going to get back, we don't have any knowledge about that. That should be handled by GetaQuid. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. That's clear. Okay. I just want to quickly have today we actually why are you using this app? Sorry, I'm just running through some things here. Can I just see if I can get that? I'll just switch that. There we are. Today we actually sent out on the COGS on the mobile phone, we sent out to the various members that were on there, and a number of people things. So the COGS system is on your actual mobile phone, and you can actually see what's going on and what the latest things are. And we sent out today's webinar on that to a lot of people as well. And we've had quite a few people. So when new information comes available, we will use the mobile phone COGS system as well and push notifications through to there. And Louis, and then people can, if they've got any questions, they can deal with it through the mobile app as well. Is that correct?
Chris, yes, Chris, we can start doing that, and I think what we should just do is to set a date, like let's say from Monday next week or something like that. We can ask the people to start sending messages from the COGS mobile app.
Yeah, from their mobile apps.
Yeah, but from their mobile apps. But I say this with all respect. There's a lot of people that catches the workings of everything very quickly, and there's a lot of people that's really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel if you think you can handle it, try to send a message on the mobile app.
Yes.
And perhaps we should just make some small instructions on how to send messages, because that is one instruction that we haven't put out there. So I think from now until Monday, we must post some instructions on the website, and even put it on the COGS notice board, so that people can download the instructions on how to send messages to us.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we say today is Wednesday? So by Monday we'll have a full set of instructions about using the mobile app, so that the people can use the mobile app to submit queries.
There's already 3 videos that is being distributed on the usage of the mobile app. What I'm only talking about is the messaging function alone.
No,
you must only update that, because there are already 3 videos that I think they can access even from the GetaQuid website, on how to use the mobile app. So I think if we can, we will quickly make another video just on how to message, the messaging function. It will be a minute or 2 video that people can quickly check, and then they will see how to use the messaging function.
Okay, can maybe Nerissa make a note that we put up a web page with links to all those videos, because they're all on YouTube. Okay. All right, guys. Anything else at this stage? Can I? Is there anything else, Nerissa?
I just want to quickly mention, Duncan Bates asked here, I've loaded all my documents onto the COGS system and have the mobile app. How will I know if the documents that I loaded are in order and capable of being used for the claim? Maybe if you can also just doing it on a website or on a laptop between on your phone or mobile app.
Sorry, I didn't get the last bit of that.
If you've loaded your documents on a laptop or on a PC, then you can view the documents on your mobile app.
Yeah, that's right. You can on your mobile app, you can see what is on your file as well. And as the guys complete all the documents that are necessary, the full list of documents that are necessary, and we've got a clarification of their actual claim, we can then wrap that up and submit it to the liquidators.
Can I just also come in there? That is an important question. Everybody is asking, are my documents right? Is it fine? And so on. So we've we've started the whole process of checking everybody's documents, Chris, as you will know. So we're almost through that whole action to check everybody's documentation. So I think it is safe to say that if there's anything wrong with your documentation, or there's not the correct documentation, or there's no documentation on your profile, very soon you will be contacted. If you are not contacted by us, well, we can still decide, but if you are not contacted, you can accept that your documentation is correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, you know, the members can submit queries, legitimate queries of, you know, I've uploaded my documents. Can you please check this for me? Or I need to have this loaded. The other thing too is we have today launched a administration and support page as well for people to be able to ask specific support if they've got a problem with anything, and if they need specific support. So we've launched that as well today. So that will go out probably in the next 2 days. We'll send out a general email of when you might want to use that support page. So we are also working on the process of people who don't know how to get their stuff uploaded, so that we can help them to get it uploaded. So we can help them through the whole system. Okay?
Can I also just ask maybe Yolanda or Nerissa there in the chat or wherever, just put up the link, the full link for the GetaQuid website, and then also maybe the info@cox.systems, so that I see there's people that say they can't log in and they don't have this or that. People, any queries that needs to go, as we said, on the Cox system. It's a very easy email address. It's info@cogs.systems. info@cogs.systems. So I see there's people that's when they want to check their documents, they're getting a snag. Send us a mail, please, to info@cogs.systems, and we will work through that and see what's going on there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Nerissa, anything else on your side?
If in quick, maybe you can just explain why we use Signal to take calls in South Africa, for South African calls.
All right. Okay. So if you go to GetaQuid.com Signal, if you go there, you will find a complete how to get onto Signal, a complete explanation of Signal. And you also find a complete write-up at that domain name of why we use Signal. But in a brief nutshell, the reason we use Signal is so that you can call us from anywhere in the world, and as long as you've got a Wi-Fi connection, it costs you nothing. And it's a really good calling system. It's a brilliant calling system. It's a good messaging system, and it's a good calling system. Once you've uploaded Signal to your mobile phone, you simply put in the UK mobile number, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can call our office through the Signal app. Now, we're not available 24/7. We're available mostly during normal British time from around about 9 o'clock in the morning through till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, more or less. Not always, but that's when we are available. But you can always leave a message there as well. And Signal was actually developed, the app Signal was actually developed by the person who originally developed WhatsApp. So it has a lot of the same features as WhatsApp, but its calling facilities are much, much better. So that's the reason we use Signal. WhatsApp doesn't work as well, but you can send WhatsApp messages to the UK mobile number if you've got a problem. And invariably, most of the time, we do get back to you as well on the same day. We've had a number of people who've had crises with the liquidators who are members who've called us to help them out. So that is, normally people will call us and say, look, I've got a problem. I've just received this document. How do I deal with it? And then we will involve Adv Van Staden and Solicitor Ian Allis if you are part of the membership. So please, guys, remember it is important to do the membership. I had one situation where somebody said, "Why should I be paying you?" And they had like 3 Bitcoin in the whole in the skin. And I said, "Well, look, go and find yourself a solicitor for £2.50 a month and see how far you get." So it doesn't work like that. Okay. All right, guys. That's anything else there, Nerissa?
There is a couple of questions, but I think we'll individually handle those questions.
Okay. If anybody has a question over anything we've said this evening, please write to support@GetaQuid.com, support@GetaQuid.com. And we will answer your questions, okay? Or admin, or even admin@GetaQuid.com. Either one of those 2 emails will work. And we might redirect you to the info@cogs.systems because that's what your question relates to. Louis, are you good? You got any other questions, queries? Louis, I think, has gone. Advocate Van Staden, anything you want to add, sir?
Sorry, I haven't gone. I was just busy answering something. I haven't got any other questions.
Okay, thanks, Louis. Advocate Van Staden?
Hello, Chris. No, I'm very happy and I'm satisfied the way the questions are being answered. So that's all from my side. May all have a blessed evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Advocate. Solicitor Ian Allis?
Nothing more from my side. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with what's been said.
Thanks, Solicitor. And Mr. Anton Lee, sir?
Oh, yes, Chris. I think Advocate Van Staden or Mr. Ian Allis can answer this. There's still a confusion with the claim forms on how to deal with P2P transfers. Now, the claim forms are being submitted, basically deposits minus your withdrawals. What happens with P2P? I've got an idea. Remember, a lot of people use P2P as a payment method to someone else. So it was a legit transaction. Yeah. How are we dealing with P2P transfers?
Just to answer that, currently it's not included. We did start engaging with the lawyers of the liquidators because they will be getting a declaratory order from court on how it must be determined. And our view is that it must be done on a case-to-case basis because it's not in all cases that P2P were exploited by people to get additional binary bonuses. So that is something that we still will address, Anton.
Yeah, I can just give you a good idea on how to deal with inquiries like that, and that's one of the things I alluded to earlier, and maybe didn't explain properly. What we are doing is when somebody has P2P transfers like that, it's important that be clearly detailed in a document, because it can create a net winner, net loser situation. But it's important that they know how that is to be dealt with. And then we will, one of the things we will do is we will open those cases, which we've done already. We will open those cases with the liquidators and then come back with direction. It's difficult because some P2Ps were for kids and for various other accounts people were opening up, and some P2Ps were actually for people giving other people coins to trade with on their behalf. And that is something that that we have to get clarification on a per case basis. I think Advocate van Staden has dealt with that correctly. So what we've said to a lot of people is, when you submit your documentation and you have a situation like that, have a discussion with us so we can understand what's happened, and we can give you direction on the type of note you should attend, that should attend your actual application. So you can write a note saying, all right, this is what happened, this is why I did it, this is the way it looks at the moment. That's really the best way to do it, Anton.
Yes, I agree on that. Just an example of someone that I assisted myself, according to his back office, he could have claimed, for example, 3 or 4 Bitcoin. So he was a net loser.
Yeah.
When we went through all his accounts, the way he moved P2P from, example, his personal account to his business account to make the binary bonuses bigger, but he withdrew from his business account. Now his business account is lying in a minus 4 Bitcoins. So now it becomes, now it's turning from a net loser to a net winner.
Yeah.
So you must be careful with that.
Yeah, but then he should consolidate that. I don't know the case, but I would consolidate that into one account, and then clearly have a look at it. But remember, that's the reason they are holding these discussions. So if we can preempt that discussion with a complete disclosure, then that will also create a better situation. I'm going to say something off the record here, which I think is really important for everybody to understand. It's not going to be a simple transaction when there are P2P things involved. The other thing too is that there is going to be a threshold on who is going to be pursued. So, maybe somebody had 2,000 or 3,000 rand more out of the pot than what they put in. That will probably not be pursued, because that's the sort of thing we are negotiating at the moment. But I want to reiterate that the exact threshold of when somebody will be pursued as a net winner is also important, that we negotiate so that we don't have net losers becoming or being pushed into a net winner position. So those are things that need to be discussed with the liquidators on behalf of our clients. That's really, really important. It's a very important point you brought up there, Anton. But I think at the moment the answer is what Advocate van Staden says. We just need to get all the information, put it down on paper, and then approach the liquidators with it and see where we go from there. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Anything else, Anton?
No, thanks. I'm happy, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Anton, and thank you for all your interest in helping everybody and beating us over the head for not moving quickly enough, okay? That's good of you.
Okay. It's fine, thanks.
All right. Okay, guys, thank you very much for this evening. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all your support. I really want to say thank you to all the guys for your support, okay? Thank you for that. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.